Hello, and today we will be doing. Welcome back to uh, Brendan Reads is what this is. Sorry, I'm a little out of it because I'm getting Skype messages and trying to run a video. It's probably not good for someone with ADHD, but we'll go with it. Today I'll be reading a piece written by me again. It's about 2.5 pages, and it is called Sailor Song, which is a reference to a song written by the band First Aid Kit, and they're a good Swedish folk band, and I would recommend you check them out actually. Uh, and Corner Gas and everything else we keep recommending to you, and AJJ new album coming out, Bible too. Anyways, Sailor Song. He sat gently on the park bench by the lake. Waves gently roared onto the sands of the beach. Little grains dragged into the depths of time. He peers at the sun that barely pierces the dense fog. A gentle melody plays through the air from an undeterminable place. A harsh tune stuck on repeat, covering up his heavy heartbeats, frying the cortexes of his brain. What a beautiful space I have found in this place that is circling all around the sun. He looks around in his quiet way, his hands clammy and his head slick with sweat that gets stuck in his brow. He looks into a small space he can just peer out into, barely. Somewhere outstretched, the girl who might not even exist. Perhaps she's not even real. Perhaps his hands clutch a rusty lock in his pocket. His mind panics with the possibility that she might not even find her way through the fog, or he may never have the courage to make his way out of the park bench. A new song it plays in unharmonious duet with the old song. Good Lord, the one I adore and cannot afford is a ghost. He feels sick as the song overlaps and the words echo out over his consciousness. The realization of his isolation overcomes him as he goes to seek an ease of mind from his Spielberg to his Kubrick. His fingers watch the boat slowly drift away as they sail away from the lake. He pulls his legs up to his chest and looks into the fogless lake. He looks around and looks at his phone, marked with a pentagram and blood in an umbilical cord attached to his chest. He sends a message into the aether, waiting for a response from the person he had long been addicted to. He looks at his phone, feeling inadequate. No one dares respond, as they care not, but because, sorry, no one dares respond as they care about their own lives more. Sure of what they do, but unsure of the future. The grains of sand patterns he tried to decipher the feelings of the surrealism that lay around him. He tries to decipher the feeling within him, and if his emotional cripples would be sated. Maybe if the girl he needs and desires is not a girl at all. What if she was born the wrong gender? What if she was born at the wrong time? What if he was simply not good enough? Simply not appealing enough? Perhaps he was far too corrupted and deviant from what he was supposed to be. I awoke only to find my lungs empty, and through the night it seems that I'm not breathing. A song adds to the harmonious duet as he stares ahead at the lake. His eyes stare ahead, red and aching, the bench warm and cozy, but looking at the fog, it looks cold and gray. He tears what could be just outside at those walls. The most surreal thing to him could just be outside danger and fear. Beyond a shadow of doubt, his head aches from the nauseating differences of the tunes resonating in the summer wind. He touches his hand out and feels a coat of a man in business suit walk by, and briefly sees a face that stares in disgust before turning away and briskly leaving. The disgusting thoughts manifested inside his head. Would he be rejected by society if he ever tried to integrate again? Would his dark, perverse thoughts be too much for those? Would they try to force him to censor and restrain his views and what it meant to be human? Would they reject his vision of love and ideas? What if it means to be romantic? He felt scared of the dark and fearsome part of his head. His pupils dilate. What if it messes up and she can never come to him? If he accidentally hurts her, what if she never forgives him? What if he can never forgive himself? What if she thought he was too crude and primitive? Oh, comely, I'll be with you when you lose your breath, chasing the only meaningful memory that you thought you had left, with some bright and bubbly terrible scene that was doing her thing on his chest. A small little sailboat that is more of a raft comes sailing in, its fog light cutting through the lake's fog, gilding her to the shore. There was simply the sounds of waves mixed with subtle sounds of crickets chirping away. She's dressed in a pith helm and a leather survival coat, and with covered in survival gear. Thick goggles are coiled around her neck as her hair drapes over her shoulders to the straps of her light backpack. She steps foot onto the beach as her boat gets stuck into the deep. She steps on the lines of sand and doesn't even notice the patterns they are aligned in. She approaches the park bench. A skeleton with its flesh long picked off sits with its knees up, staring at her. She looks at its head, and she tilts hers. Her light mounted off her light frame can no longer pierce the fog. She sits next to the skeleton and leaves it be. She opens the bound pages lying next to the body. Her bright, optimistic eyes can hear the music in her head. She looks over at him and stops to ponder the heart and mind that the skeleton must have had. She looks down as she she looks down as she touches a small book by his legs. She sees a couple of the yellow pages have been left blank. She pulls the pen from her explorer log and she carefully writes in her finest handwriting. A yellow faded book left to the hands of a long past soul. Pages filled with uncertainty and self-doubt. Of age, a man the age of me when I arrived on this island, spent his life in waiting and despair, who died by a broken and crippled heart, never leaving the comfort of the park bench in the fear that what others would think of him, waiting for a girl to find him in the fog. He feared that his girl didn't exist or already lived or went through his life. Perhaps he was right. I feared that perhaps this man was a man that was meant for me, long come and gone. The wind started whispering to her, "My dream girls don't exist."